What's up, world? This is your guy, Guitar K, and today we're going to be talking about sitting still, man. Look, sitting still with yourself. Sitting still and listening, man. Look, if you're unable to sit with yourself and be okay,
oh no,
I'm going to have to say you're in bad company, and that's not a good place to be. Look, man, we all know the scripture. Do not conform to the ways of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. How are you going to do that if the only thing you're doing is letting everything going on around you influence how you feel about yourself, how you think? You never take a chance to just sit back, take a step back from the world, get in tune with how you feel, with what's going on in your head. How are you going to be transformed by the renewing of your mind and not conform to the world if you're getting all your stimulation from the world? You're getting all your information from the world. You can't do it, man. You got to learn to be okay with sitting with yourself. You got to learn to be okay with just hearing your own thoughts. And I'm not talking about sitting watching TV, scrolling through your phone. No, I'm talking about being able to sit in peace and quiet and just do some self-reflection, do some introspection. You can never really truly work on yourself if you're not able to sit alone with yourself. Look, man, a famous philosopher by the name of Blaise Pascal, he said that most of humanity's problems come from the mere fact that a man cannot sit in a room quietly alone. Y'all know these people, man. They can't just sit there. They got to say something. I mean, I'm talking about they just humming and they just start clapping or tapping or doing something. What is wrong with you or me or him or her that we cannot just sit still and be quiet with our own thoughts? Look, is it a mental health problem? Is it an anxiety problem? Is it a depression problem? Yes, it's all of those things. But it comes with practice, man. You have to learn to be okay with yourself. Socrates, another famous philosopher, he says, know thyself. Again, how can you know yourself if you never sit alone with yourself with no outside stimulation? Just you and you. Look, man, we all know the saying. I can be my own worst enemy. So I have to know myself because you can't win a fight if you don't know your enemy. You have to know yourself. You have to discover yourself. You have to be able to sit alone with yourself. Learn it. Practice it. It's a skill, and it's a skill that's needed, especially in today's world with so much craziness going on. Why you always got to be watching the news? Why you got to be always scrolling, finding out what everybody else is doing? Learn what you're doing. What's going on in here? What's going on in here? Look, man, know thyself. Sit still and listen to yourself. And different practices and I guess spiritualities, we have different things that we call it. Some people call it prayer. Some people call it meditation. Some people just call it regular old me time or getaway time. Look, whatever you call it, it don't matter. The important thing is that you do it, man. Look, you got to learn to pull yourself back from this world so that you don't be conformed by it. Look, and this is a daily practice, man. You got to get away from everything, man. If not, you're going to be influenced and pulled and puppeteered. And look, man, you're going to be all over the place. You're going to be knocked and socked around like you're in a pinball machine or something, man. Look, why you always got to be calling somebody? Why you always got to be scrolling? Why you always got to be watching something or listening to something? Look, man, what about your own thoughts, your own ideas, your own goals? Look, man, learn to sit with yourself. What about just getting at peace with being at peace? Just getting to know yourself. Just reflecting on your own life. Learn about your shortcomings. Learn about your character defects. You can't do this when you're focused on everybody else, man. Look, it's a scripture in the Bible that says that a man will be so busy talking about the speck of dust that's in another man's eye that he won't even notice the plank that's in his own. That's because we never want to sit alone with ourselves, man. We always got to be doing something. We always got to be in the company of other people. We always got to be flapping off at the gums, man. Run DMC had a song, man. You talk too much. Homeboy, shut up. Look, man, you can't learn anything when you're always talking. Look, you never get your blessings when you're moving around too much. You can't be in position when you're moving around too much. I heard this sermon preached to me a long time ago, and it made a lot of sense. It hit home like so many sermons do. He said that so many times we will pray for certain things, we will ask for certain blessings, but we will move from the address that we asked for it from before it even gets sent there. Why? Because we're not patient, man. We don't like to sit still. Look, man, I'm telling you, sitting still is a practice. It's a much needed practice. When you look at like those Buddhist monks and those samurais and those karate masters and all of that, yeah, I mean, they can jump up and whip that ass. But a lot of times they just sitting still. You know, they just, I guess, building up energy or building up character. I don't know what they doing, but I know they do a lot of just sitting, man. I guess it's meditating or just getting your mind strong, man. Your mind is weakened with all this talking and all this looking at what everybody else doing. And like I said, conforming to the ways of the world. You cannot be your own person when you always got to be needing something else to stimulate you upon what you're doing, man. I talk about it all the time. It's dependency. It's codependency. It's chemical dependency. I just got to know what's going on. You remember when we was kids and your grandmother would be like, go sit down somewhere. What, you think you're going to miss something? Same principle, man. You're not missing nothing. When you're worried about everything else, the only thing you're really missing out on is time with yourself. You're missing out on yourself. There's so many people out here. They can tell you all the stats of their favorite team. They can tell you the whole life story of their favorite rapper, whole life story of their favorite superstar. But when they ask them about their own life story, they kind of shaky with it. They kind of spotty with it. Look, man, do some self-reflecting. Especially for those of us that's in recovery, man. They tell us to keep from messing up. We need to be able to play that tape back. Do you know your story? Can you really play that tape back? I think so many people mess up because they can't really play the tape back. They only remember in the highlight reels. Look, man, the highlight reel is not what's going to keep you clean. You need to know the whole truth. Look, man, don't be on some Jack Nicholson, Tom Cruise stuff and get on stage asking for the truth when you can't handle it. When you sit there and you practice it and you drill the truths into your brain, you're ready for whatever, man. Stay ready so you don't gotta get ready, man. That's why when we was kids, they was always talking about, you know, something wrong with this boy. He got ADHD. He need to be jumping up and jumping around. Grandma used to say, what, you got jumping beans in your pants? Look, man, we grown now. You gotta learn to be able to sit still with self. Look, man, y'all know I'm the Black Forrest Gump, and I like to get out there and run my miles, right? When I'm out there and I'm alone, we get what is called a runner's high because you're just out there. It's just you. And the wind is just running by you. Man, my mind gets so clear. That's when I come up with some of my best ideas. That's when I do a lot of my self-reflecting. That's meditation for me when I'm running. That's like prayer for me. I'll be super focused because I don't have a bunch of outside things. I'm not really worrying about nothing. You hear it with a lot of people, I guess, whenever they do what they do. I guess like sport players and actresses and singers, when they get in like a certain zone. You can never get in your zone when you only worrying about what everybody else is doing. You're going to have to step back to get in your zone. You're going to have to step back to renew your mind and focus on yourself, man. Get comfortable sitting with self. There's nothing wrong with it, man. Look, man. We got to sit still. We got to have faith. Take time. Work on yourself. Prayer and meditation works. But like I said, it ain't a microwave thing. You gotta work on yourself. You know how they say that, you know, prayer, you know, without faith, without work is dead. So you gotta pray, put that thing out there, sit still, work on yourself the whole time, do what you need to do while God is doing what he needs to do, man. You gotta put that work in. You gotta put that prayer, that meditation in. You gotta do what you need to do to be the best you. That's the only way it's gonna work, man. Learn to be comfortable with yourself. Learn to sit with self. Prayer and meditation, like I said, me time, whatever you need to call it. You will never be able to be the best version of yourself while you only watching the news, scrolling through your phone, calling people. And a lot of times you're calling people out of desperation. You're talking to people that you don't even really want to talk to. You don't even really want to hear what they have to say anyway. You're just trying to fill in the blanks. Look, man, don't fill in the blanks by just settling. Take the time. I don't know. Read some books, build on to yourself, add on to yourself. But it's really all about self. Stop being dependent upon this world to fill in the gaps that only you can fill in. It all comes from the inside out. It all comes from self, self-esteem, self-worth, self-care, self-love. Learn to get comfortable with yourself. This is your guy, Guitar K. Be more